Alright, so the Cutie Map has made it to premiere, and all in all, it looks like it was pretty well received. But nonetheless, it wasn't perfect, and there are still opinions ranging all across the board. So let's count down the best and the worst it had to offer. Now, we all like to end on a good note, so let's start with the worst. Number 5. The intro portion. It was probably hard for fans not to like this part, having waited so long to see these characters again. But instead of playing on that and reintroducing our heroes with a brief glimpse at how their new life is treating them, it just kind of spent the first minute rehashing what happened last time. As well as which pony is which for some reason.
I agree with Twilight, and Rarity, and Applejack, and Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie. Oh, and probably Spike.
Seriously, did you notice that the first few lines sounded like the characters doing a wooden imitation of themselves? Like they were trying to remind us which personality went with who?
There's a ton of room for dangerous adventure along that route. Count me in.
Number 4. Spike not coming on the mission because...
Me and Big Mac have a huge weekend ahead of us talking hoofball and trading hoofball cards and...
Hoofball. I mean, yes, they've made obvious excuses to write Spike out before, but he's got himself a throne in Twilight's castle now, doesn't he? I mean, it's a bit odd, for one, that Fluttershy just assumes he's not coming.
Maybe I'll just stay here with Spike.
But if that's going to be the case, you should probably at least think of something kind of important that he has to do, instead of just...
arguing about hoofball stats.
Well, you know, he has to do guy things. I mean, yes, he's the little brother of the group, but now you're just using that as a crutch. Number 3. Starlight Glimmer a fraud? Oh, well, in that case, I'll just change my entire moral philosophy to the exact opposite.
Come on! Let's get our cutie marks back!
It just weakens the effect. I mean, they established that all of the townsfolk did believe this themselves, and yes, exposing Starlight Glimmer undermines that, but if you believe something your entire life, it would probably take more than 30 seconds of questioning it to get you to totally change your mind and proudly join the other side.
Let's get our cutie marks!
Hold on a second, do we really want to go that far? Because remember, now we can't take them off again if we do.
Let's get our cutie marks!
Just wait a second, okay? I mean, it throws out everything that we've lived by all these years. We could still continue without Starlight.
Let's get our cutie marks!
Okay, would you just stop talking like Barney Gumble on sedatives? Number 2. Pinkie Pie's facepalm-worthy giveaway of where they got the info on the vault.
How did the subject of the vault come up?
Oh, some ponies were telling us how much they miss their cutie marks.
Now, I do kind of think fans are too sensitive about Pinkie Pie coming across as stupid. Especially since there's always been at least an aspect of that in her comedic side, from the very first episode. But this is not a gag. This is just lazy writing. I mean, it's one thing to make Pinkie seem out there, it's another to make her seem like a giant load who can't keep the one secret that they all agreed needed to be kept. There's nothing else to say, really.
Pinkie!
Number 1. Twilight and the gang defeated effortlessly by Starlight Glimmer, who throws out her moral ambiguity and turns on them just to make things a little bit easier on herself. After all her talk of freedom to choose, why does the town condone this? Why aren't they treated like the villains too if they agreed to trap the main characters against their will? And how about how easily the main 6 go down? Twilight losing for no particular reason is already pushing it, but I could reluctantly accept that Starlight Glimmer is just a quick draw who caught her off guard with a one-hit KO. But what about the rest of the friends just standing there and watching while her cutie mark is slowly ripped off? What's stopping them from trying to help? The talentless citizens with almost no physical capabilities left? It is lazy writing and a lazy resolution to part 1. Plain and simple. And now for the best moments, most of which, curiously, also come from part 1. Number 5. The song In Our Town. Because while I didn't exactly think it was that clever, or biting, or even the best glimpse you could ask for into why a lifestyle like this might appeal to someone, the sheer impact of it is still pretty hard to deny. It does a great job making the townsfolk sound so unconvincing, and yet so utterly convinced.
In our town, we don't have to wait to find out that our destiny is just to emulate.
The visual cues just keep topping themselves. The town so clearly wants this to be impressive, and yet the more they try to play it up, the faker their smiles look. Plus, the reactions from Pinkie Pie, and especially Rainbow Dash, are just perfect.
Winning only breeds the worst ego-filled conceit.
You see? Now every pony wins! Whoa. Is she for real?
Number 4. Pinkie Pie's plate of muffins. Finding the right way to phrase that was really not easy.
Blech! Good!
Now, Pinkie Pie had a slew of good gags this time around, from her Looney Tunes attempt to sneak up in the town like a secret agent to...
Hi, Mom and Dad!
But the most memorable of them all definitely has to be when she's forced to eat a pile of terrible muffins so the gang can pretend that they're entering the bakery to get some more. Especially since Pinkie Pie is probably the one who's most accustomed to eating only what she likes.
I've accidentally eaten cardboard tastier than that.
Nothing else to say, really. It was just fun. Number 3. The chase scene finale. Now, I know I criticized this scene for not getting us invested enough in our new heroes beforehand, but, well, that's because it made me want to be more invested in them as I watched it. Otherwise, I would have just said it was a second-rate attempt to mix it up. I think that just taking the time to have Twilight point out that the 4 newbies are returning a favor and not just taking over really did a lot to make this scene more digestible. And so much about it works. The action is decent, the visuals are creative, and watching their personalities and talents reemerge is really hard not to appreciate. And then, of course, we finally get to see Twilight show up Starlight Glimmer.
I studied that spell for years! How can you?
I studied magic for years too, but what I didn't know then was that studying could only take me so far. Each of my friends has taught me something different about myself. It was their unique gifts and passions and personalities that helped bring out the magic inside of me.
If they'd just found a way to give us a more personal connection to these characters, this might have been number 1. But speaking of that, number 2. Meeting the new characters. Following a fake out that works pretty well.
Are you really the Princess of Friendship?
Do you know Princess Celestia? I love your cutie mark.
This part of the episode shows the craftsmanship at work. It makes the newbies surprisingly outgoing and likable just when it seemed like the entire town was forcing themselves through fake smiles all the time, and it draws us to them right away. Then as the scene goes on, it explores the holes in Starlight Glimmer's system very subtly, hinting that they're suppressing their real desires and letting groupthink run their lives. It's all very three-dimensional.
Daydreaming is one thing, but you mean actually having it put back on? That seems extreme.
I'm not sure Starlight would like that. She wants us all to be happy in our sameness.
It's one of the few times that the episode expands on its themes, and it pretty much clears up that it's not all just a parable on communism. Or maybe I should say, not all just a parable on the Cold War, because I'm not sure that everyone quite understands what actual communism... never mind. If they'd just gone a little farther and let us get to know these characters as individuals, they could have stolen the show. In fact, some people seem to think they already did, but since I'm not one of them... Number 1. Starlight Glimmer revealed. This scene is everything that's wrong and everything that's right with this episode at once. But since there's ultimately a lot more that's right about it, it's the best scene. Yes, it gives us an easy out by making Starlight Glimmer a hypocrite. Yes, Party Favor exposing her wasn't as strong as it could have been because they didn't push the question of whether the main 6 converted him or not in the moment. And yes, the town rushes just a little too fast to doing the exact opposite because of this scene. But that just tells us what the scene and the episode as a whole don't do. What it does is actually pretty darn strong. It brings Fluttershy full circle. It reveals Starlight's true colors as a narcissist so skillfully. It makes a strong point that no structure can really make everyone totally equal all the time. And of course, it brings back something I've missed in this show. Knowing when to rein in the drama.
Every pony has unique talents and gifts, and when we share them with each other, that's how
Quiet!
It's the moment that the entire episode hinges on, and for what it is, it nails it. And with that, we've come to the end of my favorite moments. Feel free to tell me about yours in the comments section below, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, send it to Starlight Glimmer, and if you'd like to watch another video in this series, click here. Otherwise, check the description for more links, and I'll see you next time.